I know I said to everyone I was over it, but it's still I was in the club when I saw that, okay?
Yeah.
And everyone's drinking and we're getting wasted and I'm in Vegas living my best life and like, boom, I see that and it like changed my whole mood.
Chemical X.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Chemical X podcast. If you missed our faces from last week,
They definitely missed their faces.
or maybe they were like, fuck, thank God these bitches got their cameras broken, everything. We don't want to see them.
If you guys are new to the podcast, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you're listening on Apple Music or Spotify, don't forget to click that 5-star review, leave a comment, talk to us, let us know what you want to see next.
So I feel like the last couple of times we've filmed, everything has been going wrong, guys. If you would, sometimes, it looks smooth,
Oh yeah,
after the
because
edit, but
technically all you guys know that has been going wrong is that last week our videos were corrupted, but there has been so many things happening and I actually starting to feel like this place is haunted. And it's coming, it was around the same time as Halloween, like it was just very weird.
very sketch. So I hope now that like we're November, like it's a new month,
Movember.
maybe our cameras will cooperate with us and all will be good. So cross our fingers. I'm not gonna, knock on wood. I don't know if that's wood. Babe, give me your dick. Anyways, we're starting off strong because we're here.
We're starting off strong. I feel very zen these last weeks. I feel like I've been like traveling and I'm like, I'm not going anywhere this week. I'm not going anywhere next week as of right now. So I'm very relaxed.
We're relaxing.
It's a nice vibe. I need it. I still have not fully got my voice back. I'm starting to get concerned now. So there's that.
I feel like this is at least like a decent level of like sexy though. Before was like, do you need a doctor?
Yeah.
Now it's like, I have a raspy voice. Like when you get sick, I always love that. Like, hey, good morning.
Yeah.
But then it starts going away and you're like, no, stay. I want to be sexy.
I want to be Brooke Davis. Yeah.
Yeah. True.
Keep trying.
Yeah. Maybe you want to scream a little more to get that.
So on our I spoke about it a little bit on Chemical X. I put like a little story and I was like, you know what's something we've never really spoken about on the Chemical X podcast? Jobs, finding like the career it is that you love and that you're not, waking up every day wanting to die. And so I feel like it's such a great time to be talking about this. It's, I'm jobless. And
so
I have
to start off with, if anybody has a job to provide Alessia, she's looking.
I'm actively looking without actually looking, if that makes sense.
Looking through a little more Raya applications than job applications, that's for sure.
You know what, though, I will say about Raya, I'm getting a little tired of it.
It's like any...
It was really exciting at first, and now I'm like, not that I'm over it, but I feel like a lot of people I've met on Raya, it's not been going sour, but it hasn't been adding up to anything, which is probably because I'm not actively looking. I don't want anything. So, and like, when you're at that stage where you're going and you're meeting people and it's just like shitty, it's hard to just be like, oh, who's the next Jimmy on this thing? You're like, hey, I really need a break.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with that.
I think also at a certain point you start seeing the same. Well, I don't know if that is that how it works, but do you start seeing the same people and you're like, hey,
they throw in a few like
maybe you forgot about this guy.
Yeah, like
maybe he could get a second chance.
Yeah, like they'll throw in a couple that I'm like, I already clicked X to this, but
I definitely rejected you.
Yeah, I just feel like it's like nice now that I'm like not looking. And yeah. So I feel like so much has been going on in my life and I'm like, I don't know if we're going to keep this for another episode, but when I was in Vegas, I was like, when I got out of my breakup, everyone was like, wow, you're doing so good. Like you're out of it. Everything is fine. Like Alessia's traveling. She's having so much fun. She's over it, which I was over it. But I feel like for me, it almost like affected me a bit later on where I remember saying to everyone like, it's because I've been thinking about it for a while. So when it happened, I was like, good.
Yeah.
But I think even going on like dates that just don't go anywhere or like that are bad, it not makes you like...
No, but it does.
It just makes
what if
you...
I...
Well, it's not like, oh, well, what if I get back with my ex? It's just more like you think about like memories and stuff. So it brings you back. So as much as you're like over it, I feel like those times it's normal for it to haunt you. And I feel like I really gave people the view that it's like, you're good to go after. And I just want to, bring
Pedal that back.
pedal it back a bit. When I was in Vegas, I saw something that like really bothered me on my ex's page.
What was it?
He posted with another girl.
Deep. It's always
That'll
the first,
do it.
like,
Yeah. I feel like as over it as I was, I think not seeing was like always like, okay, well, whatever. Even if he's dating somebody, it's not like it's being thrown in my face. But you think about like the amount of time, and then you're like, whoa, like, okay, they're moved on.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You
I feel
start
like it hits
calculating.
differently.
Yeah.
Every person I've spoken to about this was like, well, Alessia, you have no right to feel this way.
You don't have a right to be mad about it, but you have the right to be like
Hurt.
feeling about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you can't be like, what the fuck? Because
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But obviously it's normal. Like I remember honestly not even that long ago, but I remember seeing one of my ex-boyfriends like and it was like years we had broken up, and I saw he finally posted a new girl, and I was like, guys, dead and gone over this guy. Like I was just very like, sorry? Like who are you? You always want to, it'll always still, even though it might not be like, because now it's new, it's fresh, it's probably more hurtful, but even though you're over the relationships and you have no plan to get back with them, it's still like a wow. Like it's
okay,
like,
so you're making me feel more normal, because I was
No, for
really
sure.
like, I know I don't have the right, and I know I said to everyone I was over it, but it's still I was in the club when I saw that, okay? And everyone's drinking and we're getting wasted, and I'm in Vegas living my best life, and like boom, I see that, and it like changed my whole mood, because then I was just like, okay, whoa, like should I have been at the stage where he is now, where like I found a new person and I'm happy, and like who moves on first and who's happier first? And I know it's so toxic and so like wrong to think that way, but I was like, wow, I guess looking in my eyes, I'm like, I'm in no shape or form to be getting into another relationship this soon after.
Yeah.
But everyone's different, right?
Yeah, and I'm sure that like he wanted different things, and you know what I mean, like you guys had an age difference, so it's like he was probably like looking, he didn't feel like doing like the exploring, which is what you always wanted to, which was one of the reasons you guys like ended off, because you
well,
felt
when you
like
put
you
it
had
that way, I have no
more.
reason to be bad, but still.
No, I'm saying you don't have a reason to be bad, but it's still like hurtful, like not even to say hurtful, but it always bother you. Like it could be 6 years down the line, no matter which ex-boyfriend of mine, if I see him post a new girl, I go, okay,
I mean,
I see. I'm going to stalk this girl. I'm going to see what she has.
6 years later, I don't think I would care.
Not care, but it's still like, to be honest, everyone, well, not anymore, but there was a time where every single person I had dated had never gotten a new girlfriend. And I was like, okay, wait.
Well, that's good.
Is it me? Like,
That's good.
did I ruin these people's lives? They're traumatized. But it was very like, I never had to experience that, which was good. But then also like 4 years later, when they finally did get a girlfriend, I'm like, okay, interesting.
Yeah.
You finally moved on.
Yeah.
How was your last?
It's because I always thought like it would take a little bit longer to forget me, or like a little bit longer for, for us to really figure out our path of like who we're going to be with. And like for him to have moved on so quick was like, whoa, like it hit, So so if anybody's listening and has been there, then you get me. If not, then you just think I'm crazy.
I mean, I think that everybody's in different stages in their life. So I think if you got out of the relationship, but were like wanting a relationship, like it just was the relationship that didn't work for you, you would probably be like moving on quickly. And you know what I mean? And also pursuing another serious relationship. But I think also because that's not what you want, and you haven't even like processed completely moving on to somebody else, it's like almost more of a shocker where you're like, wait, what?
But I also feel like when you find out that your ex is with somebody else, it kind of gives you that like, oh wow, like, okay, like which version is she getting? She's probably getting such an amazing version. Or like, wow, like maybe he changed for her, like maybe he's such an amazing guy for her, and like now I'm like, wait, I wish I had that. Like, wait, do I want him? Like, your mind plays tricks on you.
I mean, I think that you just have to remember that at the beginning of your relationship together, you probably saw him in the light that she's seeing him. And everybody's problems, just like mine, just like yours, like they will always eventually come out in a relationship. So the reasons you're not together haven't changed. It's just like, you know what I mean? Like you see somebody
I feel like
it
ebbs and flows. Like there's times where I'm like, I wake up today, I'm like, kidding me, Alessia, it was never gonna work. Like, you think of like the things that bothered you and the things that were never gonna change. You're like, oh yeah, that's not why we're not together. And I'm like, I'm at peace with it, and I'm like, I'm so happy for him. And then there's moments and days where I'm like feel less confident about it, and I'm like having doubts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe it was me. Like, it's this whole like vicious. Anyway, so I'm doing the whole tornado right now. I'm mostly happy, but like when I actually think about it sometimes and I'm in a state where other things in my life are going wrong, I feel like it's when I'm like at my lowest.
I think that's gonna go away only when you've like completely moved on, in the sense of like either like fully moved on by yourself, or gotten with someone new where you almost feel like that, like, you know what I mean? Because I feel like when you're single and somebody gets, like, the other person gets into a relationship, you're like, wait, like, oh my God, like, it's very like, not that I can't explain it, but like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like once you get into a relationship, you have that almost like, not stability, but like that reassurance that like, okay, this is what was waiting for me at the other side. You know what I mean?
And he's probably just sooner at that than I am.
Yeah.
Sad a bit for me.
Yeah.
But happy for you, I guess.
All to say, yeah.
Really, Aled? Because it didn't seem like you were happy 5 minutes ago.
Anyways, though, I think it's completely normal, and I feel like, you know.
But could you imagine now, like, the new girl? Like, she has all this data to listen to. Like, that's my dream, to date a guy and to have the whole fucking...
The archive, fuck.
Are you kidding me?
She literally says, let me find out every... He's probably going, delete this episode, delete when you said that you're making me look bad. You literally said, lay it all on the table.
It's insane.
We are the perfect, like, source for a jealous new girlfriend or ex-girlfriend or anything.
100%.
Any person that like just wants to know the info, we said on a silver platter, babe. We said,
babe,
every
you don't
Monday,
even have to embarrass yourself. DM me. Like, you will get it all, and I won't even know that you're watching, even though I know you are.
just tell me what you want to know. I'll give you the episode and the time.
You can even do it anonymous. Anyway, moving on. So perfect. Your ex moved on. You got rid of your job. Aled, what's going good for you? You're traveling?
I mean, sounds pretty good to me. You know, in my end of the couch, I guess. My only new update is that I got a fun audition that I was very excited for.
Woo!
And like I always say, every time I get an audition and every time I land a role, it's always like the one that I'm just like, in the past, I was the abused girl. I was the 6-year-old boy. It's just all like the non-ideal
Veronica,
ones.
you were the 7-year-old boy. Don't cut yourself short.
I won't. So this time, guys, I landed an audition, and
I'm hearing it for the first time too. She's like, I'm not telling you. You're gonna hear it on the podcast.
so I was really excited about it because I actually knew the person who was casting for the gig. So like I messaged them and they were like, oh, we already like casted it. But then I guess they didn't. And I ended up getting like a request for an audition. So I was like, okay, cool. But at the time I didn't know what the project was. I just knew that they were looking for somebody with like humor. Like they asked for like Amy Schumer, right? Whoa, what a tricky name
Amy
to say.
Schumer?
Yeah. They asked for like her style of humor and just like whatever. So I was like, okay, I feel like I fit this. They're like, everybody's listening going, you think you're Amy Schumer? Sorry. Sorry, Pep. Sorry, say that again. You think you're Amy Schumer?
But would you have like a line to read, or would it be like your own?
So basically, I don't know what the lines are, but I just got like the audition of like what I need to act out. Okay. So at first I just knew what they were looking for. I was like, this is me. Threw myself in the mix. I was ready. And then I got an audition and I read what it was. And I was like, okay.
Wait, what was it?
So basically, I'm not going to give too much detail about what the brand is, but it's basically for people with IBS and the irritable bowel syndrome. If anybody doesn't know, basically you're shitting all the time. And basically like my scenes is basically, okay, any more times I could say basically. So my scenes are like me in public settings with a portable toilet, and like I have to walk around with a guys, it's just I couldn't get the sexy dancing in the club one.
I mean, you dressed the part and shit.
I manifested it. Guys,
if anybody's listening on audio, Veronica's dressed in brown.
So anyways, just to update you guys on my acting career, it's going down the
Shitty.
drain.
It's going down the drain.
But if the casting director is listening, I'm still interested in the gig. To be honest, like I actually find it funny, and I actually feel like if anyone it would be funny to do it. It's like, it's me. Like I think it's funny, but it's just, I was so ready for
What
this
are like
gig.
some of the scripts? Like, what do you have to say?
It's just more like, you know, I'm trying to get into an elevator, but I have my that's full elevator, and I have my portable toilet, and I'm trying to fit in the elevator. So it's just very
Oh my gosh.
humiliating, but I'm with it. I always humiliate myself, but I just want to share that that's where I'm going in life.
Perfect.
So, you know, it's a rocky road to hit your dreams, guys. You know, when
It's
I
a
give all
rocky
those-
road.
And just to say, and I'm gonna go by my word, and it's take every opportunity and, you know, start from the bottom. And I'm starting from the bottom of the toilet. So
Take every
motivation.
take every opportunity. Wow, I did not listen to that. I quit.
Literally.
I said I don't want the opportunity. Thank you
I said
so
started
much.
from the bottom, and you said let me go back to the bottom. Actually,
Oh my god!
Now that you said that,
it's so funny. So I've actually been meaning to want to say it on this podcast. We haven't really got to it, but I actually quit about a month ago, and I was basically. I mean, you know, I've been talking to you about it for like maybe. I've been at the job for 2 years. I've been talking to you about it for maybe a year and, you know, a bit.
300 days.
A year and, you know, 11
months.
It just was coming to a point where I didn't like it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that point came a long time ago. And I still like, how do you say, like, you ride the wave?
Yeah.
And
Also, it was a sales job, which I feel like
yeah,
if you don't love, like, it's so much pressure, it's so much
Yeah.
like
I think I am a people person.
mind-numbing
Yeah,
thing.
I'm a people person, and I loved the fact that it was better than my old job,
Mm-hmm.
which was, you know, at an office. I love the fact that it was my own hours, and I was in sales, so I was talking with different people. But with that comes a different kind of stress, which
Yeah.
is like pressure, sales, numbers, money. It's a whole other ball game, and I was just waking up every day and having that pressure, like. It was not good for my mental health, like literally not at all. So I had to let it go. And there was a lot of other things we'll get into about my job. And like, you know, I want to talk about coworkers and stuff because I feel like a lot of people might be able to relate to that.
yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever had a coworker like you didn't like, or you didn't know, you didn't see eye to eye, and it was just really hard in order for you to do your job because you felt like it was always like unresolved issues that it's even hard to talk to a coworker about it
Yeah.
because you're like technically your family at this point because you're seeing each other all the time. And have you ever had that?
I mean, I did have like a couple of incidents where like I didn't get along with certain people that I worked with. And I think it's really hard in a work setting because you never want to, like, at least for me, like,
Yeah.
I'm not a confrontational person.
Yeah.
And especially not when it comes to work. Like, I'd rather just like shut my mouth and like continue on.
Yeah,
Because
same.
you always feel like the biggest thing about workplace problems is that you feel like if you speak up, it's actually going to be worse for you. Like, it's going to go back, it's going to backfire.
And in some cases it is.
Absolutely. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, there's so many times where you speak up about something and then it backfires on you. And like, now you start getting like, you know, you stand up for yourself and then you start getting shit tables, or you start getting like shit clients, or they
Yeah.
remove a client for you, or all these things, because, you know, it's always a power trip in every job. And it's
I
really
find a lot
hard.
of jobs also make it where it's like they try and make it like it's comfortable and you should talk about it because we want you to be happy. And then most companies, you do that and then it's still not that vibe. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's like so easy to say like, come talk to me if you have a problem. But then you know what like the repercussions
Yeah.
could be. And that's why a lot of people don't actually say anything.
I realize that companies who say we're like a family is the biggest red flag for a company. Like, it's the biggest
Yeah.
Do not apply for a job that says we're like a family. Family. Because it's just so toxic, because people feel like, okay, we're a family now, we could do whatever we want, we could talk to each other like shit. Like, you almost lose that professionalism, and it's almost like what lets it slide in a way. Like,
Yeah.
oh, we're not a normal company, we're like cool, we're like a family. And
Which is like kind of like a system in place
there
because
also just needs to be boundaries.
Yeah.
I think that's where the family companies that's where they fuck up, is that there's no like boundaries, there's no like this is what it is, you know, everything becomes blurry and they feel like they could just invade your life, you know.
Yeah, so for me with my job, I feel like there was a couple of people that I was working with that also added to the pressure of the sales job I already had. And a lot of it was just like not respecting my time and like calling me like at crazy hours and just things where like, especially me, I have other things going on in my life. At 6 o'clock, clock me out of work kind of thing, you know. I have other things I want to do. And when other people take the job so much more serious because they maybe don't have other things going on in their lives, they don't really have that many family members, or they don't have shit going on.
Yeah.
Their life is this job, so they expect every single other person who works for this company to take it as serious as them, because it's like, look how much I'm doing, look at all the hours I'm doing, like you need to be like this and this. And it's like everybody has their own way of doing things, and it's like having an older person who works for a company and has been working there for maybe 45 years, and they go in at 9 and they stay till 5, and that's always been their process. But like a person who's like new and who's like upcoming and has different ideas and is more creative and is more like with the new trends, let's say, whatever, they can maybe do what the guys or girls doing in like 4 hours.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to it, and like a lot of bitterness that could go on in like work environments. And
I also think I feel like a lot, like a owner of a company, like going back on what you say, somebody who takes it so seriously, like I feel like a lot of times people who are like CEOs or like the owner, the founder, whatever it is, obviously it's their company, it's their baby, and they expect everyone else to treat it like they expect you to put in your blood, sweat, and tears for this company, but they can't even give you a livable pay, or they can't even like respect your time. And that's where it's like, what the fuck, you know what I mean? Like they just expect you to give it your all, but for their benefit. And that's where it's wrong. Like I've worked for people in the past, and
we've said that before. The companies who really take the extra time to give the bonuses and
respect you and your work,
and like not be so anal if a girl has to go and leave at 3 to go to an appointment. Or when you give people that environment where they're more free, they will always work more for you and better and give you more of them.
Exactly.
Always. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I was just feeling like in a very claustrophobic environment where I was getting calls at crazy times, and it was starting to feel like I was going crazy, you know? And like I would talk to family members, and they would be like, well, you just have to like talk to that person and let them know, like after 6, like I close my phone and I'm not gonna work. And it's so hard to do that, especially in the type of job I was working in, to cut the boundaries. And I just feel like there's always a fine line, and I just got to the point where I just couldn't do it anymore, you know? And do I have a plan after this? Absolutely not. Do I act on impulse? Absolutely. Am I a normal girl who would be like, let me look for another job and then only quit once I have something else? No, I'm not a normal girl. I wouldn't actually do that. But I did hear that when you don't stress and you're like chill about it, the best opportunities come. So that's where I'm at. I still got to put in the work and like find another job and stuff. But like I'm not stressing, which is really weird. I'm like enjoying this time to be like, what do I want to do? And I actually am finally at that stage where you were before you started your job, where you're like, I'm not taking anything now. I'm not doing anything. I don't care what the pay is if it's not what I want to do.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at now.
And I think obviously for me, like I had more the luxury where I still stayed at my job and I did it. But and like that would be, if I would give any recommendation to anyone, obviously going the smart route is staying at your job. But I've been there where I'm like, I can't literally clock in another, like I physically I cannot do it. Like
it's draining.
Even though I was waiting to get that new job, like at my old job, I was like, every morning was like a battle, like, and I was like, I'm gonna quit, I don't care.
It was the same thing for me. The stress of me having to find something is still not as stressful as the stress I had at the job, and that's when I knew I had to like let it go, if that makes sense.
For sure. And I think it's more like, it's just more valuable. Like I think sometimes we're ready to take whatever struggle, like I'm sure you don't care, okay, for maybe you don't find something for 3 months, for 4 months, you're gonna figure it out, you're gonna do what you have to do, and that's what's important. Well, it's getting cold outside, and I know like your initial thought would be like, let me cover up. You know, for like us girls, we don't shave our legs for a while when it starts getting cold.
We stopped doing a lot of things
We stopped
when
doing
it's
a lot of
cold.
things. But I'll tell you what's not allowed to stop. And it's male hygiene. And when I'm talking hygiene, I'm talking shaving your damn balls.
We can't have that shit being hairy down there.
We can't. We already have enough blankets in here. We don't need another one.
Yeah.
So go to manscaped.com. They are the best in below the waist grooming for men. All over the world, there's like 2 million men worldwide that use Manscaped. So you need to be using Manscaped.
Yeah. An electric shaver is always needed, especially when you can take that shit in the shower and you leave your mess behind and it's just a clean, smooth sailing exit.
For everyone. So go to Manscaped, check out the wide variety of products that they have.
Yes.
And we also have a special discount code for you.
Yes, guys. Use our discount code ChemicalX at checkout to receive 20% off your entire order, anything on the website, and free shipping. So ChemicalX at checkout for 20% off and free shipping worldwide.
Guys, you know we like to be lit. At least this weekend I got pretty lit.
Yeah, Halloween was a crazy weekend. And what can keep us lit other than Halloween?
Neon signs.
Visit Neonific. They have custom signs. You can get pre-made signs. You can get it basically to the measurements of your couch. If that's the size you want, any size you want, you can have it dimming to different colors. Basically, the options are endless. Mm-hmm. And we have a discount code for you.
We do. So if you use our discount code ChemicalX at checkout, you will receive 10% off plus free shipping. So don't sleep and get lit with neonific.ca. Did I just give them a new tagline?
Hot men wear suits, okay?
That's the motto. Like, that's like the baseline. Hot men wear suits.
Yes.
But they can go real unhot if it's a baggy, untailored, unfitting suit.
I think the worst for me in a suit is if it's not tailored. Like if the pants are going palazzo and they're not fitting tight, you know what I mean? Like they need to be fitting tight. And if the suit is not making your, biceps nice, then you're not wearing a good suit.
Okay, so you have a couple of, things
requirements.
to check off, but...
And with the company Isotti, that can all be fixed.
Absolutely. Guys, Isotti is a Italian-based brand that makes tailored bespoke suits for men. And you just basically use their app to take your measurements and you will receive a perfectly tailored to you suit, which is worth more than money could buy.
It's so much better to have a quality suit over like 5 Zara ones. You know, you get one that's made amazing, and it's not like women, we have to keep switching our clothes. Like men can just change up a tie. So it's better to have a quality suit over like fast fashion, I would say.
I totally agree. And what's better than a quality suit? A quality suit at 20% off. So use our discount code ChemicalX and you will receive 20% off at isotti.com. So we'll link everything down below and get your game up. Is you're not quitting and expecting like that it's all gonna go easy. Like you are willing to do the sacrifice. Yeah. Which I think that if you're gonna do something like that, you need to be prepared to do. But also I think you should enjoy it because when you think about it, it's like, it's like
the best things
like
come
reset.
when
like you're not always at a point where you don't have a job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's very like, for example, when we were in COVID, like a lot of people lost their jobs or couldn't go in or whatever. There was, a lot of people didn't work. And it was almost like a whole reset for everybody where, most of the time we have a job. So it's not often that we get to enjoy our time not working. So I think like, obviously figure out what you want to do, but also take the time to be like, wow, like I'm enjoying myself. I'm getting my shit done.
That's literally where I'm at. And even when I was working at a 9-to-5 job and then I quit, I was like, I'm going to take a bit of time for me. And it just so happened the ball got rolling and like I wasn't looking for a job and a job came on my lap right away. And I was like, okay, I'm going to take it because, I need a job and this looks like a good opportunity. But now I'm like getting out of it and I already know if I really want a job, I'll get one. But now I just want to be particular in what I choose. And no job really came my way. I just know it's weird. Yeah. But when you're not stressing and panicking, I feel like you get more like directed into like the field you actually want.
Yeah. I just think it's good to like chill. Like I always say, and I've spoke about in the past when I came back from Australia, like I always low key regretted like going back to work right away, and like literally I was home like a week and I already found another job, and I already was like pushing myself back into it, and I kind of hated that I did that because I didn't enjoy that reset moment, which is what it is, because you know our lives are so dependent. Like as much as we could say don't live to work or whatever, it's like our whole life goes around our job, like how we feel, you know, like if you love your job, it's going to affect other parts of your life. If your job includes traveling, that's going to affect your life. If it includes working from home, like our job is so dependent, our life is so like parallel to our job. So I just feel like having that moment and really just like resetting before you like take on a new thing is so important. Even when I left my job, I took 3 weeks off because I was like, I can't physically like throw myself into something again.
It's so amazing to do like the whole reset. I remember now when you did it. It went by really fast. I remember you telling me.
Way too quick, let me tell you. Let me tell you. What would you say that you're looking for?
Honestly, I think when your interests change when you're doing things a lot, you know? So now I'm like into podcasting and video. So like something in just like maybe, I don't know, like editing, anything like that's on scene, on set, some just completely different from what I was doing, you know? So yeah, we'll see. But also I think traveling will do that to you too. It really puts things in perspective, and you're like,
but sometimes dangerously though.
Dangerously for sure. But I live life dangerously on edge, so here we go. And now I'm like, well, why do I have to get another job here when I could go somewhere else maybe? I don't know. I just feel like I'm really looking at the map like the world is mine. I know we have a podcast. Don't worry. That's always still in the plan. But yeah, we'll see. Whatever. Well, I think there's beauty in the unknown.
Yeah.
I actually don't know where I'm going, but it's so chill.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough.
I mean, I think it's
a bit like stressful at times.
Obviously, this podcast is a committed relationship.
Yeah.
Just like I'm in a committed relationship with my boyfriend, but I've always said in the past, and I always like stress about that, is like I would never want somebody to like pass up on an opportunity for me. And obviously like this is a relationship in a way, and it's like I would never be like, what the fuck, you know what I mean? Like I can't explain that. I'm just like, I want everyone to do what they want to do and to chase their dreams, and I would never want somebody to people are scared. They're like, are we quitting the podcast? I just feel like when you live your life so much like, oh, but I have this and I can't leave, and oh, but I have like a metaphor in the sense of like, don't like, people always base their life decisions based on like, oh well, I can't do this because I have this. True. And it's like, it's not true. Like if you really want that thing and the other thing as well, you're gonna make it work. Just like us, you want to go somewhere, like we're always gonna find a solution. And I see my relationship like that as well, where I'm like, you know, I know, and sometimes I even like test it, like, babe, like I want to go to Miami for a month, like what do you think? And he's like, yeah, sure. And it's like sometimes you just need to know that you have that nothing is holding you back, because I think people put too much like weight on things that actually aren't holding them back, but they almost like lean on the excuse, and it's just like, no, like whatever's meant to work is gonna work. Like obviously I love my relationship, and like I would never want to like end it, but I would want it to work even though I want to do these things, you know what I mean? Like if I go work somewhere else for 3 months, or I go, you know, I work remote, like I can do so many things. And
I think also like most of the people who listen to this podcast are in their 20s or 30s. I feel like it's really a time in our life where a lot of shit changes. We're figuring out who we are. We're figuring out what we want. So I think you have to remember that all the things that you think that are like you're not capable of doing, or like something's holding you back, like just remember that you're actually like, you probably, most of you guys don't even have kids right now, or some of you do, whatever, but
I've seen backpackers with children, by the way, just to say.
But
if there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, it's like, if you think you have a hard time doing what it is you want, and you have all the excuses to line up to say, I can't do it, then I want you to know that the older you get, the harder it is. So if you're in your 20s and you're debating and you're thinking about it and you hate even that 30s. Job, and you just do it, because you're literally, you only live once.
For sure. And a lot of people would tell me that, like, when I was traveling or when I came back and whatever, people would be like, oh, like, you're so lucky you did that. Like, I wish I did that. But they'd be like 26 and they'd be like, well, I have an apartment. And I'm like, okay, so sell it.
Yeah.
Okay, so sell your car. Okay, so, like, you know what I mean? And people
If there's something you want to do, you can always figure it out.
Yeah.
There's always a way. Get another job on the side. Save for it.
Yeah.
There's always a way. That's why I hate when people are very like, what's the word? Excuses.
Like, they make excuses.
Yeah,
Well,
like
I don't know
I want to work out, but I just don't have the time. It's
Yeah.
like, no, you make the time for what it is you want to do. Like,
it's all about
for what's a
priorities.
priority. Yeah. Jinx. I also feel like I just don't want to go about getting a job the same way I always did, which was like look online and like I want to almost create my position now, if that sounds really crazy.
That sounds like what I was saying
it's
6
so
months
true
ago.
But it's just, you get what I'm saying though.
Yeah.
Like I don't necessarily want a job that says these are your tasks and this is what you have to do, but more like I want to like speak with people and like network. I feel like that's a really good way to get like a really good job. And it's how I got my last one, even though, you know, I mean, it was still like, I know I'm complaining about it, but it was still like 7 bars higher than my last one.
For sure.
Which means it's like you get into a relationship and then your next one is only better and better.
Yeah.
I feel like the same thing
applies for a job.
So my wants and needs are going to be completely different and standards are going to be higher. So
I also think that, you know, people, especially in like our age or like around our age, and I'm sure like most of the people listening, we always like, or we were like brought up by a generation of people that had careers. And
yeah,
in our generation, like careers almost don't exist anymore. It's, you know, unless you're a doctor, like obviously that's your career. But even at that, people are changing so much because we are very like set on, we're not the type of people who get a job and stay at the same place for 25 years. Like, you know, somebody becomes a doctor, they might work in one hospital for 1 year and then transfer and go work somewhere else abroad. Like every career, even now, is so like all over the map. Like people are changing, people are growing. There's no such thing as landing that job out of school and going for 25 years. It doesn't exist anymore. It's like it used to be in the past, like not a good thing to have many jobs, like 1 year jobs on your CV, but now it's like normal. Like now everybody changes job every year, every 2 years, every 3 years. We're always changing. Even though like it could be bad for companies because they're not getting to grow with their employees, I just think that's how we work now. And people are so focused on this, like, well, what do I want to do? What do I want to do? Like, what is it I want to do? And I'm always like, do whatever you want right now. Like, even if you change your mind in a year, in 2 years, you could.
Yeah.
Like, you literally could. Just do whatever you want. It's no longer a fucking life contract that we sign away.
Yeah. I think what's also cool is like, what you don't realize is every job you get into, you learn and you take something from that. So by the time like you do like a couple of jobs, you have so much experience under your belt of like different things, you know, like even now the job I'm looking for in like video or editing or whatever is going to be completely different than anything I've done, which is going to be so good and linked to my next project of what I want to do with my life. So I just feel like when you follow the path of things you love to do, so many doors are gonna open up.
Yeah. And like focus less on like that, like what it is specifically. Like people get so caught up on that. It's just like, okay, what do you enjoy doing? Like sometimes like I'll literally, like I have a friend who she worked in an office and like she did that whole office life, and then she ended up going back into like working in restaurants because she was just like, honestly, I really just way more enjoy being a waitress. And to some people they see it that as like, oh well, an office job is way better than being a waitress. But if you hate your fucking life at an office job, why not be a waitress? If it's more, you know what I mean? In the meantime, why not? Or do it for your career. Who cares? If that's what you love to do, then do it.
Yeah.
And everything changes. You know, a perfect example is even like one of our friends' parents just like through COVID, like there was like they both like lost their jobs and they had to find new jobs. And now one got an opportunity. They're moving to the United States, a bunch of traveling. And it's like, I'm sure like 5 years ago or even 1 year ago, if I would have asked like his parents, like, oh, would you guys ever like move to the US? It'd be like, no, like that's not in our plan. But it's crazy how things change, and
especially
and
with
it's just changed your whole life. And they have children, they have a house, they have cars, they have everything, but like it's all about priorities, and you make it work.
I think even with COVID and everything that happened, it just put a lot of things in perspective, and people were, just having to face the fact of like, I want to do what I want to do. And it's just, even our generation, it's like we see so much shit happening online. It's amazing, like the ability of TikTok and people being able to like change their whole life and make it from their fucking home. Like there's so many opportunities, and it's just there's literally always a way.
Yeah. But I think it's also really important to realize that not everything comes like we're always trying to seek that fulfillment. And I feel like that doesn't exist anymore for us. Like I said, we don't have those careers anymore. We aren't like categorizing ourselves the same way like success used to be categorized. Like now it's very different, and I feel like we're stuck in a place where we almost don't know how to categorize our success. It's like half of people our age are having kids and buying a house, and the other half are traveling the world and doing all kinds of crazy jobs, and you don't know anymore like what timeline you're supposed to adapt to. And
I know
that's the perfect example, is like his parents are 50 and they just landed this job, and it's like you never know when your dreams can come and when it'll manifest itself, and you can't be like, oh well, it's too late, it hasn't happened right now, or like this, or like at
and it
this
sucks
age I
because
wanted to do this.
sometimes I still like struggle with that. I'm like, fuck, I really wish at 25 I was doing everything I wanted to do, but it's like, Alessia, you're gonna look back and it's like you've already done so much. Chill.
Yeah.
So it's literally patience is key, man.
I think like really our problem is that we look at our parents and like all the stories. It's like all our parents, they were married at 25, they had us at 28. It's like it was all these things that don't align to us anymore. You know, I mean, for some people for sure, but for most of us, like I'm sure if you look at the statistics, 90% of us are married, aren't having kids.
Yeah, even when we look at like our parents, what do they always tell us? Save. Like,
and also
we don't
take your
look.
time,
take your time, save so you can buy the house. It's like, I don't want to buy a house. I actually don't even think I ever want to live in a house. I think I want a condo when I grow up. Like, do you know what I mean? I just feel like everybody wants different things, and it's okay. Like, I don't look at money the same way my parents do. And already just that explains the whole difference in like views of what I want as a job, and just that alone.
I think our parents were more like save for retirement at this age, and but that
which
goes
saving is good.
But I'm saying like they plan their lives around retiring and then living their life, whereas we plan our lives around living our life, and then we don't give a fuck. Like, I'll work till the day I fucking die. I actually don't care. Like, you ask me about retirement, like, what? Like, that's just not what I think. Like, I've never in my mind thought, when I retire, like, no, I'm living my fucking life. I don't care if I'm working till I'm 80.
Which is normal, because we're living now. We live in a way more like think now, fast pace. Vibe.
Which has its pros and cons.
Pros and cons, baby. Pros and cons.
Yeah, no, we definitely live in a much more progressive world.
Yeah,
but
I have a question for you. What advice would you give somebody who is not happy at their job and they want to do something more in their domain, and they want to do something they love, but they don't know what it is they love? What advice would you give them?
I mean, I think it's just it's trial and error, you know?
Yeah.
And I think, to be honest, literally 90% of the time, I was about to say 20%, 90% of the time, people actually know what they love to do, but they don't see it as a viable career path. Yeah. If that makes sense.
That's so
like,
true.
People be like, I guess fucking talking isn't what I love. People will be like, oh, for example, like, I love drawing, but they'll never take themselves seriously enough, or even just to the point where
they'll be like, it's just a passion.
Yeah, like they won't really, but then they hate everything else. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I think it's really about when you clock out of work that you hate, or whatever you're doing that you don't like, you're obviously going to feel what you don't like doing. Whatever sets you free and you feel like you're escaping reality when you're doing and you're happiest doing, there's always a career that could be made out of that. Like, if you're finishing work at 6 and you're like watching TV shows and you're that's your thing, like reality, then that's something you should go
Yeah.
into, you know? There's always a way.
And people like never see that like what you're passionate about could be your job. Like,
Yeah.
for real, you know? And the funniest part about like, I think this is interesting, is we always think when you have a passion, you always think that everybody almost shares the same passion as you. And I know it's going to sound weird.
No,
but
I
hear me
agree
out.
with you. I
So
agree with you.
I would always think to myself, like, because I have like very like a lot of different interests, but you know, for example, as a kid, I always wanted to be you know, some kind of entertainer. I wanted to be a singer. I wanted to be an actress. I wanted to be a pop star, anything, you know? But I always felt like everyone else shared that dream. Like, because I was just like, oh, this is what everyone wants. Like, who wouldn't want this? But it's not true. And, you know, down the line, I realized in all my jobs, like, I idolize, like, for example, I had a job. I was an intern for a media agency, and there was a graphic designer there. And his work, just like him designing things, would like mesmerize me. Like, I would be like, he would come and help me on like Photoshop, and I would be like, oh my God, how does he know all this? Like, I even remember when I left the company, I wrote him a card saying, I want to be like you. Like, like, you're so good. I really wish that I could be half as good as you are one day. And it's so funny to think because, you know, 80% of people would be like, a graphic designer, like that's who you look up to, a graphic designer. But that's just my passion. And I was like, wow, like, why wouldn't anyone want it? Like, in my head, it was like, everyone wants to be this. Yeah. But then you realize, like, no, it's just, that's my passion speaking. You know what I mean? And it's funny because you always have this feeling like everyone wants this. Everyone wants the limelight. Everyone wants to entertain people. Everyone wants this. And it's so not true.
Even when we talk about the limelight, and it's just like, oh my God, well, everyone would want to be famous. Then you talk to someone, they're like, don't take a video of me. Like, I don't want that.
Don't
like,
speak about me. Don't take a picture. And I'm like, really?
What do you mean?
Yeah.
We're
like,
entertainers.
I was talking to this girl. She was literally 11 on 10, gorgeous girl. And I'm like, babe, you should get into modeling. She's like, oh, I don't like that. I'm like, what do you mean you don't like that?
You have to like it. You're gorgeous.
Like, what the fuck? I would be dying to do that if I could, but I can't. So what the hell? You know what I mean? It's so funny when you realize that not everybody shares your dreams. Yeah. And it really opens your eyes to like, oh shit, like maybe not everybody is pinning for this job. Like maybe I have a chance for it. Yeah. Because we're always told like, and I think, you know, it's obviously different for us because we have big dream, let's say, you know what I mean? Like we're very like, what we're pinning for is obviously that like, that we got talked down to as kids. Like everybody wants to be that, like it's 1 in a million. It's 1 in a million. And it gets to you. And obviously, you know, if you said you want to be a doctor.
And that's another thing, like environment and who you surround yourself is very important, you know, especially when you're creating your baby or anything you're working on, you know, you only want to share it with people who are gonna, you know, want it to succeed. And I know so many people who like, they have an idea, they're so excited about it, and then they talk to somebody about it, and then they're like, oh, well, that's already been done. Keeping your ideas so close to you and not sharing it with everyone sometimes.
Yeah, and just believing in yourself. And the thing is, everyone will say, oh, it's so hard, it's 1 in a million. Yeah. And I'm talking to the big dreamers here. Like I said, a doctor, nobody's going to tell you it's 1 in a million. You could be a doctor if you want to be a doctor. Yeah. But, you know, people are always going to tell you, oh, it's so hard, it's so this. But the people that succeeded, they were 1 in a million. And that could be you. And how much do you love this dream? Like, you know what I mean? Like the option is always there. It's not impossible. Nothing is impossible. Yeah. Things are hard. Things are harder to get to. It might be harder to achieve. But if you don't do anything, that's where it really becomes impossible. Yeah. If you never actually pursue.
There's so many things recently that in the past I was like, because I'm so like way more like free spirited now and so much more like relaxed and zen and like trusting in the universe that have just been happening. I'm like, what the fuck? I just thought about this. How is this falling into place for me? Like, it's just like about knowing what it is you want, but also letting it go and letting it happen and not putting like such like crazy times on it. And it's just like, then it happens and you're like, what the fuck? And like, maybe in the future we'll share things that have happened that like, you know, we could be like, wow, like I didn't even think that would ever happen. Like, and it did. But in my soul, I knew it would, which is weird, you know? You know, when you almost know something's gonna happen and you could feel it and you almost get like shivers, but then you let it go. And then, you could go through your times where you're like, oh, I don't actually feel like, because it ebbs and flows.
Another thing too that I just want to add is like, a lot of people like with big dreams, like a creative industry, let's say you want to be an artist, you want to be, like the whole joke starving artist, or all those people who, want to be rappers or want to be in music and want to be in all these things. I realized, like, talking to people that are in different creative industries that, before, like I said, we were always grown up on this 1 in a million thing. But I realized if you're happy doing something, as long as it pays the bills, you're going to be like satisfied in your life. And, working in music, for example, people think, oh, it's fucking impossible to be, the next J-Lo. But who says you need to be J-Lo? If you like live to sing and to have a good time, as long as you're making a living, it doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? Like, and sometimes I see that it's like, I see local artists make a career out of their art. And yeah, they're not Alec Monopoly. They're not these, huge people that are making millions, but they're still making a living off of what they love. And I feel like people overlook that. And somebody who made me realize that was actually my cousin, because I remember a long time ago, like, he decided to go into music school, into sound engineering. And like his whole thing was like, I love music and that's my passion. And I don't care if I'm not, the biggest producer or the biggest whatever. I just want to be doing this every day. Like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's important to realize.
Well, that's super powerful.
Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I think, you look at anybody who is an artist and who is creative, and we always put ourselves up to this, like, well, if you're not the best, then we're not good enough. And it's like, if you're an actor and you get enough gigs to be able to support yourself, then that's amazing. You're doing what you love. You don't need to be the next, Leonardo DiCaprio. Already, just that you're living your dream, which is just doing what you love, like, that's fulfilling. That's fulfillment. Like, you're dying happy because you're doing what you love. My mom's cousin is an actor. He acted in Vancouver. He acted in LA. He was in like a couple of big movies. And that's the thing with acting. It's all like, you get one gig and then you get nothing, and then it's a really tough industry. But he's made a living out of it. And even though he's not a household name, or he's not, you know what I mean? He's just done these little jobs. He's still doing what he loves, like whether it's these shows, whatever it is, he's acting. Yeah. And that's what he gets to do. And I'm sure he's fucking satisfied that he chased his dreams, you know?
I'm turning 26 and I'm like, where am I going? Don't have the, I don't know my path. And that's okay. If you're 30 and you don't know where you're going, it doesn't matter.
Even if you're 40 and you decide you want to completely change your career around, like, literally.
And we also always think like everybody has it put together, and like that's the image we should perceive, like we got this, and it's not always the case. And there's actually more probably people who don't have it together than have it, and that are faking it. So
I also think nobody ever really has it together.
No,
like, there's always gonna be,
and that's just life. Like, it's actually life. It's, if life was easy, then it wouldn't be life.
Yeah, like, if there's no challenge, I think once you have it together, you're bored, to be honest. I genuinely feel
I don't actually think, maybe that's just me, I don't think like you fully ever have it together. No. Do you? I feel like you're still trying to figure out life at different stages of your life. Even if you got that job, there's always going to be something else that you're like, you know what I mean?
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you're never going to be satisfied. It's like like, even once you hit that point where you're like, this is my dream job, you're going to be like, well, what if I aim a little higher? Or what if I do this? Like, you're always going to be pursuing, and you're always going to be searching for fulfillment. And I think it's just about constantly making the decisions you want to do, and just keep doing what you want to do for you. And you're going to, honestly, if we're talking about time, if we're being really real, if you're really passionate about something, just actually do it. Because the thing, you got two options. It's either you say, fuck it, and I'm gonna go to school and become an accountant because that's what my family wants me to do. Okay, in 3 years you're dropping out and you're going to pursue your dream. So
when I was in New York and I was having dinner, kind of on a date, and there was like all his like friends there. It was kind of like a big table, and we're just all like getting to know each other. And this guy was like, what's your biggest fear? So I didn't hear a couple because I was at the bathroom, and then they got to me and they're like, Alessia, like, what's your biggest fear? And I'm like, my biggest fear. I'm like, oh my God. And I feel awkward because I feel like it's such like everyone's listening to you. You don't know.
Judging you off
Everyone's judging you. They also don't know you. So they're catching a grip of who you are by what you say, you know?
1,000,000%.
So I'm like, here's my time to shine, but also like, how do I be myself? You know what I mean? And I was like, my biggest fear is not achieving everything I want to achieve. And they're like, whoa, so fucking deep here. We're just saying like my biggest fear is like jumping off a plane. Like, like, whoa, Alessia, like, you good? Is everything okay? So that was
really said go hard or go home, babe.
Oh my God. It opened up another window, let me tell you.
You said, well, if I'm being honest, it's,
I mean, that is actually my biggest fear is not being able to achieve everything I want. Like, I don't want to leave this earth and not be able to achieve what I have planned for myself, you know?
Yeah. But I also think like
I need to chill. Yeah.
I think be happy with small achievements.
Oh, for sure.
Because small you're never gonna feel like
small achievements is what makes you grateful.
Yeah.
And when you're grateful, that's normally when you
like I think life is about being happy all the time and not pinning for happiness.
Yeah.
Like you know how they say don't live for the weekend, like don't work 5 days just so you can have 2 days of freedom. It's like no, be happy every day. Do something that you're happy every day. Like stop working towards a day of satisfaction, a day of happiness. It's like we just said, it's never gonna come. Like just be happy every day.
It's
do
so
shit that makes you happy every day.
It's so true. And last thing I want to say is just like, if you do have parents who are very like opinionated or whatever, I think it's really important to also make them grow with you. So I've gotten to the stage with my parents where as much as I was like, my parents are never going to change and they are who they are and that's just it. I feel like the more you like talk to them and the more you're like, no, I'm actually like, I'm set on my ways and this is what I'm going to do and whatever. They have no choice at some point, even if they disagree, but to open up and to listen. So the same way you're growing, you're allowing people around you to grow as well, which I think is really important.
Yeah. I think if you always like stay within your limits and always agree with what everybody tells you and go abide by the rules, like you're never going to grow. You're always just going to stay in that mold. And especially if you want to break the mold, you need to always challenge the boundaries and try. And, you know, a really good thing too is like, look, if you don't see yourself chasing your dream and you want to get another job that's more like stable or more cookie cutter or whatever it is, you know, just find a way to do what makes you happy in the other times that you're not working, you know? You could have your 9 to 5, but as long as you go home and do what you love and find that satisfaction, don't ever let that die, because we always said like creativity, you have to work on it. You have to work on it. Your dreams, you have to work on them. They have to always be present. And if you give up on your dream, it'll go away eventually. It'll fizzle out and die because you haven't worked on it and kept it alive. And
I don't actually agree with that. I feel like your dreams will never actually just fizzle out. I feel like it's always going to be on the back of your mind. And there's nothing worse, I think, than like not actually going for it and staying in, because it'll actually eat you alive, I think. And you'll always have regret the older you get, and the more it's just gonna like haunt you. As like at least saying like you tried it and you did it, you're gonna have a lot less resentment towards yourself too. So
I agree, but not everybody has like the ability to sometimes chase their dreams. So, you know, if you like photography.
Wait, what do we We just said this whole episode how everyone can.
Yes, but I'm saying like, you know, everybody has a different situation, and sometimes like, you know what I mean? Like it's just like there will always be an exception to what we're saying, and it's motivational, but sometimes like people don't have a choice. They want that financial stability, but they still love photography. It's like whatever you could do in whatever way you can to keep that dream alive, just keep doing it. You know, even if you work your 9 to 5 and you come home and you work on your photography, like it's still gonna bring to your life. Maybe it's not your job, maybe it could be one day, but as long as you keep that alive, like that passion alive, because yes, your dreams will never realistically go away, but if you never like work on them and bring them out, you're not gonna feel that amazing feeling of why you even love that thing in the first place. You know,
that I agree with.
I got something slid with you like that. That's a yeah. The other, no, don't agree with the other at all.
Dream on, dream on.
I think the moral of the story is,
oh God, we always do
stressed.
Those fucking moral of the stories.
Don't be stressed. You have time,
take those
but
risks.
Also you don't have time, so chase your fucking dreams and do it now.
And normally it's always something you enjoy because you're doing it the second you clock out of work. So try and find a way to do it on the side.
If you don't know, talk to people. Look at what other people are doing.
I mean, normally what you enjoy doing comes from your interest and what you actually like. So whatever your interests are, because everybody has something, that's probably what your career should be in.
Yeah. You know,
Straight up.
People don't even realize, like, sometimes be like, I don't have any interests. Like, okay, well, you love reading. Why don't you read books for a living?
I was gonna say, like, maybe like
I chose the worst thing. Why don't you be a librarian? I was gonna say be a writer, but then I was like, that doesn't make sense. But you know, that was a really shitty example and ruined my point.
we can give you another chance if you want before we go.
I don't know. I'm scared now.
Anyways, guys, we hope this was like super motivational. You learned something from this. We hope that you fucking step out of the boundaries and, you know, find something that you love and continue to pursue it.
Yeah, and if you're not where you want to be,
which is technically almost everybody.
Yeah, just keep going, and there's no right time. There's no right anything. Just literally go with your gut. Honestly, just go what you feel. And if you need to quit that job because you can't fucking do it for another day, then quit the job and get on your fucking ass and find somebody else. Get on your ass, get off your ass, and find something else and do what you love.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down below. And if you want to get more in detailed about it, message me or Veronica or the Chemical X podcast and we can get into it.
And if you have any job offers, forward to Alessia.